Welcome to an Echo of the Past channel. I am Nefertiti, the beautiful one who came, queen of ancient Egypt, wife of Pharaoh Akhenaten, and a woman whose beauty has survived millennia. Today, I'll tell you the story of how I became one of the most powerful women of antiquity, how my husband and I changed the religion of an entire empire, and how my name became synonymous with eternal beauty. Get ready for a story full of royal power, religious revolution, family intrigue, and mystery that still fascinates archaeologists around the world today. My life was like papyrus written in gold, beautiful but fragile, eternal but mysterious. Don't forget to subscribe to an Echo of Past channel and give a like if you love stories about strong women of antiquity. Get ready to be told by a queen whose face you know from museum collections, but whose story few know. I am Nefertiti, and my origins are shrouded in a mystery that fascinates scholars to this day. I was born around 1370 BC, but where and to whom is a question no one has a clear answer to. Some say I was the daughter of Pharaoh Amenhotep III. Others say I came from a noble family from Akhmim. Perhaps I was a foreigner, a princess from Mitanni, or even Nubia. The truth is that my beauty was so exceptional that it could only have come from divine descent. My name, Nefertiti, means the beautiful one who came. And believe me, I truly came as a gift from the gods. Even as a young girl, I was special. My features were perfect: high cheekbones, long, elegant neck, almond-shaped eyes full of intelligence. In ancient Egypt, beauty was considered a sign of divine favor, and I was living proof that the gods sometimes sent their most beautiful daughters to earth. I grew up in the luxury of the royal court, surrounded by the finest teachers, artists, and priests. I was taught to read and write hieroglyphics, something that was not commonplace even for the daughters of royalty. I studied religion, astronomy, medicine, but most of all, I was fascinated by politics and the art of governing. Even as a child, I knew I was destined for greatness. When I was about 15, fate brought me to the young Prince Amenhotep IV, the future pharaoh who would change Egypt forever, and I was to be his queen and partner in the boldest revolution of ancient times. My wedding to Prince Amenhotep IV was not just a union between two young people, it was an alliance that was to shake the foundations of Egyptian civilization. Amenhotep was an extraordinary man, intelligent, sensitive, but also a radical visionary with revolutionary ideas. Our wedding took place in Thebes with a pomp worthy of the gods. I was dressed in the finest linen, adorned with gold and jewels, with a crown on my head that shone like the sun. Amenhotep looked at me and said, "You are the most beautiful woman Ra ever made." From the first moment, we were not only husband and wife, but spiritual partners. Amenhotep confided in me his deepest thoughts about religion, about the need to change Egypt, about a new faith that would unite the empire, and I supported him in everything. Soon after his marriage, Amenhotep became pharaoh as Amenhotep IV, and I became Queen Nefertiti, ruler of the richest and most powerful country in the world. But our ambition went far beyond mere rule. We wanted to transform an entire civilization. Amenhotep had a vision of a new religion, a belief in a single god, Aton, the sun god, to replace all other Egyptian deities. It was a revolutionary idea in a land where hundreds of gods had been worshipped for thousands of years. And I was not only his wife, but his closest collaborator in this religious revolution. Together, we planned changes that would change Egypt forever. We didn't know we were taking on traditions thousands of years old. Around the 5th year of Amenhotep's reign, we launched the most radical religious revolution in ancient history. My husband changed his name to Akhenaten, he who serves Aton, and I became Nefertiti, the queen of the new faith. Aton was not just another god, he was the only god, the sun that gives life to everything on earth, that embraces the whole world with its rays. Akhenaten claimed that only Aton was the true god, and all other gods were empty statues. Imagine the shock. Egypt worshipped Amun-Ra, Isis, Osiris, and hundreds of other deities for thousands of years. The temples were filled with priests who lived off sacrifices and rituals. Suddenly, a young pharaoh comes along and says, "It's all a lie. There is only Aton." I was Akhenaten's closest ally in this revolution. In reliefs and paintings, we were depicted together worshipping Aton under his radiant rays. I was the first queen in Egyptian history to be depicted as an equal partner to a pharaoh. Our new faith was beautiful and poetic. Akhenaten wrote hymns to Aten that were full of love for life, for nature, for all creation. "How manifold are your deeds, Athos," we sang. "You made the earth according to your wish." But revolution always has its price. The priests of old hated us. They lost power, wealth, influence. The people were confused. Where were the old gods who had protected them for thousands of years? The army was restless. How can they fight without the blessing of the war gods? But we believed our faith was correct, that Aton would lead us to a new golden age of Egypt. How naive we were. In the 6th year of Akhenaten's reign, we took the boldest step. We left ancient Thebes and founded a brand new capital. Akhetaton, the horizon of Aton, was to be the city of the future, the city of a new faith, a city where only truth and beauty would reign. I chose a place on the east bank of the Nile, the place where the sun rises every morning as a symbol of the birth of Aton. It was an empty place in the middle of the desert, but we saw a vision of a beautiful city to rival Thebes. The building of Akhetaton was the greatest architectural project of its time. The palaces, the temples, the houses of the nobles, the workshops of the craftsmen, everything was designed in a new style that reflected our new faith. Instead of dark, enclosed temples, we built bright, open sanctuaries where the sun could shine freely. My palace was an architectural marvel. Bright halls with frescoes depicting nature, gardens full of exotic plants, pools with crystal clear water. It was an oasis of beauty in the middle of the desert, worthy of the queen of the gods. In Akhetaton, we lived like gods on earth. Every morning we woke up with the first rays of the sun and prayed to Aton. Our children, 6 beautiful daughters, grew up in an atmosphere of love, art, and new faith. Art in our city was revolutionary. Instead of rigid, formal depictions of pharaohs, we encouraged a naturalistic style. Artists painted us as real people, with emotion, in intimate family scenes. I was portrayed as a loving mother, a tender wife, but also as a powerful queen. Akhetaton was our paradise on earth, but paradise, as we know, never lasts forever. Akhenaten and I had 6 daughters, 6 beautiful princesses who were our greatest joy and our greatest worry. Meritaten, Akhetaton, Anchisenpayaten, Neferneferuaton Tasharit, Neferneferur, and Setepinre. Each of them was unique. Each had a place in my heart. Our eldest daughter, Meritaten, was my proud heritage, intelligent, beautiful, with a regal bearing. Even as a child, she showed an interest in government and religion. I often thought she would be a great queen one day. Akhetaton was the most sensitive of our daughters. She loved music, poetry, dancing. She spent hours in the gardens watching the birds and flowers. She was like a living poem sent to earth by Aton. But my greatest worry was that we had no son. In Egypt, a male heir was essential to the continuation of a dynasty. Akhenaten had a son, Tutankhaten, by a second wife, but I longed for a son of my own to carry on our religious revolution. Our family happiness was disrupted by tragedy. Akhetaton died very young, probably in childbirth. She was only 12 years old. We were devastated by her death. Akhenaten became melancholy. I mourned for months. Reliefs from that time show us mourning our dead child. It is one of the most moving moments in Egyptian art, the royal family in its grief, the human family in its pain. After Akhetatona's death, something changed. Akhenaten became increasingly withdrawn, increasingly obsessed with religion. I had to take on more political responsibilities, more concern for the practicalities of government. Our daughters grew up in an atmosphere of uncertainty. They knew they were princesses, but they also sensed that something was changing around us, that our revolution was not as successful as we had hoped. Around the 12th year of Akhenaten's reign, clouds began to gather over our kingdom. The religious revolution that we had begun with such hope was causing increasing opposition and chaos in the empire. The old priests never forgave us for abolishing their temples and deities. In Thebes, there were rumors of a heretical pharaoh and his foreign queen. They said we had brought the curse of the gods upon Egypt, that our rule was the cause of all misfortune. Worse, our foreign policy was failing. While we were engaged in religious reform, our enemies were attacking Egyptian territory in Syria and Palestine. The vassals wrote desperate letters asking for help, but Akhenaten was too busy worshipping Aton. The army was dissatisfied. Generals like Horemheb openly criticized our policies. "How can we fight," they asked, "when Pharaoh has forbidden the worship of the gods of war?" I sensed a revolt was brewing. I tried to save the situation diplomatically. I received foreign envoys, negotiated with the priests, tried to appease the disgruntled nobles. I was becoming the de facto ruler of Egypt while Akhenaten delved deeper and deeper into mystical religion. Around the 14th year of my reign, I made a drastic decision. I began secretly negotiating a compromise with the Theban priests. Maybe we could keep Aton as the main god, but bring back some of the old deities? Akhenaten rejected my plan. "Nefertiti," he told me, "Aton is the only true god. We cannot give up the truth for political expediency." It was our first serious argument, and unfortunately not the last. I felt our empire was crumbling and I had to act, but little did I know that my next steps would lead me into even more trouble. Around the 17th year of Akhenaten's reign, something mysterious happened. I, Queen Nefertiti, disappeared from all official records. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened. Did I die? Was I banished? Or did I become a pharaoh under another name? The last depiction of me dates from this period, a relief of me standing next to Akhenaten in a religious ritual. I looked tired, older, maybe sad. Was that my farewell to the world? One theory is that I died of a plague that was rampant in Egypt at the time. Another is that I was exiled because of political differences with Akhenaten. Maybe I tried to stage a coup and failed. Most fascinating is the notion that I became a pharaoh under the name of Neferuaton, that I ruled Egypt after Akhenaten's death as a female pharaoh, like the later famous Hatshepsut, who has already told her story on this channel. Feel free to listen to it and find out what fates we share and what makes us different. If I truly ruled as Pharaoh, it would be the crowning achievement of my remarkable career. I would go from queen to absolute ruler, the first woman to complete the religious revolution Akhenaten, and I had begun. But more likely I would die in Akhetaton, far from Thebes, far from glory. Perhaps in my last moments I regretted our revolution. Perhaps I wished we had stuck to the old gods and the old ways. Akhenaten died shortly after my disappearance. Our religious revolution collapsed like a house of cards. The new pharaoh Tutankhamun, originally our Tutankhaten, restored the old gods and moved back to Thebes. Akhetaton was abandoned and gradually swallowed up by the desert. Our beautiful city, our temple of Aton, our palaces, all became ruins, as if our revolution had never existed. But my beauty survived. My famous bust, created by the sculptor Thutmose, became a symbol of eternal beauty. After 3,000 years, people still admire me, still ask me about my secret. On the 13th of December 1912, something amazing happened. The German archaeologist Ludwig Borchardt discovered my famous bust in the ruins of Akhetaton. After 3,000 years, I returned to the world to once again enchant mankind with my beauty. My bust has become one of the most famous works of art of all time. The perfect features, the elegant neck, the enigmatic smile. Everything that made me special in my lifetime has been captured in stone for eternity. When my bust first appeared in public, the world was left speechless. Journalists wrote about the most beautiful woman in history. Artists were inspired by my features. Fashion designers copied my style. I became a beauty icon for the 20th century. My bust is now in the Neues Museum in Berlin, where millions of people visit it every year. It stands there in a glass case like the queen I was. Inaccessible, mysterious, eternally beautiful. But I'm not just a beautiful statue in a museum. I am a symbol of the power of women in antiquity. Proof that women could be equal partners with men, even in a male-dominated world. My religious revolution may have failed, but it laid the foundations for later monotheistic religion. Some scholars see the cult of Aton as a precursor to Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Archaeologists are still searching for my tomb. Perhaps it lies somewhere in the Valley of the Kings, perhaps in the ruins of Akhetaton. Maybe one day they'll find my mummy and finally solve the mystery of my disappearance. But even if they never find my tomb, my immortality is assured. I am Nefertiti, the beautiful one who came. And I never left. I live in the hearts of all who love beauty, power, and mystery. My life has been like papyrus written in gold, beautiful but fragile, full of mystery and secrets. I was a queen during the greatest changes in Egyptian history, the partner of a visionary, the mother of 6 daughters, and a woman whose beauty has survived millennia. Perhaps I failed as a politician. Perhaps our religious revolution was premature, but I did something that few women in history have done. I became a legend, a symbol, an icon who inspires people to this day. Don't forget to subscribe to an Echo of the Past channel and give a like if you're fascinated by my story. The history of antiquity is full of amazing women whose stories deserve to be told. The past whispers, the future listens.